This is Boxing Tickets NI. We're here at the press conference weigh-in for McCrory Carrero. Delighted to be joined by the one and only Michael Conlan. We've obviously just had the weigh-in there, and I guess we've sort of got a bit of spice there. Probably Paddy come in with a face mask on. Carrero hasn't taken it too well. No. Farrell and Kerr seem to be carrying on their beef from yesterday. Like obviously last night the Q&A, Chris Algieri had a fight of the night. Kroll had a fight of the night, and Malnaj had a fight of the night. Like that shows the depth of the card. Like nobody can pick the same sort of fight.
Yeah, and two of the guys picked Robbie Davies Jr.'s fight, which I don't think will be. In fairness, I think Robbie will win that because they know that the opponent has come in late and he's kind of struggling to make weight a bit. So I think Robbie Davies will win that fight kind of comfortable, depending on what Fortuna comes in. And then Paddy's fight, listen, that has all the potential in the world. They're both big punchers. The guy actually has more knockouts than Paddy, which is a surprise sometimes when Paddy fights opponents. But it's a dangerous one. It's one where someone I think will be knocked out. Then you got Kurt Walker and Rudy Hernandez, isn't it? Garcia, sorry. And that one, Rudy in the press conference yesterday was saying he's the better fighter and stuff, and obviously he's coming a bit heavy today, so he's got to try to cut the weight. If he doesn't cut the weight, they may be fined, I'm unsure. But I think that one, Kurt's game. Kurt's been firing all cylinders the last while, so this is the opponent who gets him before it and gets him going. And my fight of the night, which I would have said last night if I was on the podium, I would have said Rudy and Conor Kerr. I think that one has fireworks written all over it. The first one was fireworks, and I think this one, just in the beat carrying on from yesterday, I think it's carrying on from the last fight. It was amazing. The fight could have went either way. I scored at the Rudy, but it could have went either way. An exciting fight, and I think tomorrow night, over 10 rounds, it'll be better.
It seemed to be that Conor Kerr closed out the fight. It seemed to be at Rudy, obviously, in the closing stages. Blew a gasket, sort of. Like, do you see the fight being, because even though it was given 78-75 to Rudy, it could probably have been, it was that close, it could actually have been 78-75 the other way.
Could have been near the way. It really was. There was picking rounds, whatever you like, whatever the judges like, and you know my thoughts on judging time, so I can't really go into things like that. But I scored at the Rudy, but it really could have went either way.
But Paddy's probably following the same track as you did. Obviously, you back from a defeat with obviously a knockout artist in Mariaga. In some ways, in your mindset, because obviously you've come off a defeat and bounced back with a knockout artist, in some ways it's probably better to get in with someone that you have a lot of fear with.
Definitely need to be switched on. Depending on what type of person you are, is how you'll kind of approach it, and I think Paddy will be on it. It's definitely an interesting fight, but I do think it's one he'll win in shame because he's back in Belfast. I don't think he's lost in Belfast. He hasn't. No. He's only had one defeat, so it is definitely a great fight for him. One that he'll be up for, one that he knows, with Carrero doing the throat cuts and everything today, one he knows that he has to be switched on.
On judging, we're obviously just over a month past since obviously Kevin Cronin supposed to be his night, his sort of coming out party in the Three Arena. Dana White's probably labelled it the best. It saves anybody else getting in bother obviously afterwards. But like, what's your sort of thoughts? I guess you've had time to sort of dwell on things. Like you probably watched it back and stuff at home. Like
when I watched it live, I says, listen, this can go either way. Some of the rounds were close. When I watched it back on camera, I was like, no, I can't win that easy. But on the night, I thought he'd done enough to win it. I know some of the rounds were close, but Kevin was doing the work. Emmett was throwing and landing probably one or two big shots every other round, not all the rounds. But the scoring I thought was bad. And like, I've been to Kevin's fought in Arshaw and Galway, and then obviously that one, they were the two I've been to where I went, wow, that guy should not have lost. And I have been told as well, his first fight with Jimmy Morrissey, that it was a draw, wasn't it? Or was it a loss? Was it?
It was a loss, but it probably could have been a draw.
I don't think if he didn't, someone told me he did not lose that one either. And going, this kid should be 11-0 now. Like, you know what I mean? It's terrible, and it's not. It's hard, and you've seen his reaction after. But like, when it happens to you once, you go okay. Happens to you, go, for fuck's sake, it's not. It definitely can't happen to you a third time. and it happens to them again, and you're going, come on, it's not right. It's not right. There's people's lives there. It's not just boxing's not just a career. It's your life. You know, you put your life into it, and you want to get everything out of it. And the fact that he's been screwed on the biggest night, fighting his toughest opponent, Daniel McBrennan, an Olympian, and getting screwed, I thought it was bad. So no, it is what it is.
What did you make of Emmett's post-fight interview in the ring, where he was sort of saying that you know, and he was the one that was bringing up robbery and things like that. Like, what did you make of his comments where he was saying that you know yourself that obviously his punches were more than volume?
See, I didn't even hear, like, during it, I just heard something like Mick, and then I looked around and he was talking to me, and I was like, I can't really hear you here, but I was just like, oh, saying to me, he's talking to me for? I mean, you don't got to explain it to me. Yeah, I can see things from my own eyes and make a decision myself. I knew it was close, but, you know, these things happen.
Do you think sometimes the crowd booed the decision? Does that probably say it all? You probably don't need
that
it.
That says it all, and I'm happy. You know, he's getting the rematch. I don't even know if it's announced yet, is it? No,
it's not.
It's not announced yet, so I can't really say it. But
it looks like March.
Looks like March time. Not in Ireland anyway, so it's an interesting one. I'm looking forward to it, and I think Kevin can go and do the job. And you know, listen, he may have lost the fight, but you know, he won the war really, because look how much people have supported him now and backed him now, and you know the credit he's got off that. He's put himself in the shop window, so you got to give him credit. The guy's a warrior, the kingdom warrior, and you know, he comes to win every single time and puts his heart and soul into it. So fair play to him.
Is it good for you in a way, the fact that, because I know that you told Kevin afterwards, take a break and we'll obviously go again in 2025.
Yeah.
Does that show there's resilience in him and he just wants to get back in? I know he's obviously not going to be the same calibre of opponent in Waterford, but that shows the calibre that he's just happy. He's going, you know what, I'm not going to sit and go and eat takeaways and go on the drink. I just want to get back in the ring and fight.
He's a dedicated kid, and he does, as he says, he puts his life on hold to pursue a boxing career. And you know, that's always tough, no matter what, for anybody, especially when you have a missus and stuff. It's always hard. So the fact that he's doing that and giving it his all, that's all you can ask for from any type of fighter. And he lives the life, as I said, and I'm looking forward to seeing him out, you know, obviously in Waterford, closer to home, gets the job done there, and then moves on to the big one.
Same night, obviously, you have the Waterford card, obviously Big Bang, Pierce O'Leary, obviously fights in London. It's probably sad for you in some ways, because it probably used to be, I don't know, you maybe end up in London and Jamie will do Waterford.
I'll be in Waterford. I'm sure Jamie will be in London. Either way, no, it would work either way. So, you know, it's sad that we don't both get to be here for the fight, but it is what it is. It's boxing.
It's boxing, isn't it? I guess you're not going to jeopardise Pierce, obviously, having a fight before the end of the year. Yeah. Waterford, obviously, war in Waterford. You've obviously done the first presser down there, the Q&A last night. The build-up, I guess, is living to the hype of the fact that an undercard fight stealing the limelight from the main event, and Graham McCormick and Craig McCarthy, they went at it again. Like, it was nearly around round 9 the other day. Like, I guess that you always knew when you made that fight that was the one that's going to probably sell the card.
I think with both Graham and Craig, put them in anybody and they're just going to go crazy. They love to talk a bit of smack, and as being promoters and stuff, you love that type of stuff. That's what you want. You want some type of kind of fuss and some hype being built around a fight, and you know, it's fantastic because them boys, you seen after the last fight, but they're going at each other and everything and backstage. I love that. You know, I love that, the passion and the will and the want to win so much that even if it seems close, they're going to fight to say no, they're right or he was right. You know, so it's fantastic.
And obviously Dillon and Tyrone, probably his last chance to win. Probably if Tyrone to lose again, that'd be 3 in the bounce, and probably that'd be over for him. But like, probably a fight that came from nowhere. I know Dillon told me off camera before the O'Neill fight that he liked Tyrone. Tyrone loses to Mimoun, and then he's thinking that's gone. Like, he is a fan of Tyrone, and now he's going to fight him. Like, it's a real intriguing main event.
It's an intriguing fight. Moran's stepping up a lot of levels to fight Tyrone. You know what I mean? I think it's a very tough fight for him. And Tyrone coming off back-to-back losses, you know, it's obviously going to be a tough fight for him. So it's an interesting one. I'm looking forward to it because I do believe you're going to get a war in Waterford with that one.
A couple of evidence in the card as well. Obviously, Dean Walsh and Barry McReynolds. Obviously, Barry's in the Q&A last night. Giving obviously more fighters an opportunity. And it seems with Dean, I'm really intrigued by the fact of it because he's obviously a wee bit older, probably like the Emmett Brennan mold, but he's going to have to move fast.
Yeah, yeah. I spoke to him when he wanted to go pro, and I told him, listen, maybe the first one we come in handy, we come in nice, and then we're going to have to move quick because you are 30 years of age now, and there is no waiting about. You need to kind of start to pull the trigger on things and jump into kind of Irish title level fights very quickly, and that'll be the plan with Dean.
The last one from me, obviously, before I let you go, there's obviously talk that it looks like Anto's going to obviously fight a former opponent of yours in Leewood next. If you were in that scenario where you're a world champion and obviously, you know, he has to fight Nunes next, is Anto doing the right thing by going, you need to pay me very well, but you also have to give me the guarantee that whenever I beat Leewood, I'm going to get a world title opportunity again? Is that a predicament, sort of?
He's been world champion now. He's had the title. What he needs to think of is banking money. And like, he's reached his goal of being a world champion. Listen, you want to be multiple world champion, fair play. You can try to do that. But at the minute, you're 35, isn't he? 35?
30, as they'll say, he's 36 in February.
36 in February. You need to start thinking about, I'm not going to be in a sport for much longer. I need to get my bank balance way up. And Leewood is a fight that will get his bank balance way up. So, and especially what happens in Saudi, because I know they were talking about Nunes here in Belfast in March, because I spoke to the Warners myself, and they mentioned February, and I said if we could do it in March, I'd be interested, kind of thing, of being on the undercard co-main event. But I think he's got to use his brain and let the hit go. Get the Nunes fight after you beat Leewood, because you're still in that position, kind of thing. But bank your money, because boxing's a short career.
Isn't it strange in the way that obviously Ando gets revenge for Carl, obviously beating Josh, and obviously then the next fight then they could get revenge for you and obviously beating Lee. Like, boxing's a funny old game. Like, that's two-time world champions he's beat back to back. And obviously then Leewood, two-time world champion as well, I think as well. So he could be doing 3 fights in a row with two-time world champions.
Listen, if he does, fair play to him, and I hope he's paid really, really well for it. If he fought Lee, I actually favour Anto. Didn't naturally bigger man. Lee's will be a big super feather. He's a big featherweight, but he'll be a big super featherweight as well. And the guy is resilient, as you've seen, and very tough and punches hard enough. So it's an intriguing fight, but I think Anto is the better boxer and also punches very, very hard. So, you know, I'd be interested in it. I would like to see how it would go, and I would favour Anto.
Obviously on yourself, it probably looks potentially maybe in March, maybe as a return fight.
No need to worry about me at the minute. No,
you're just happy sitting on the sidelines?
I'm happy taking in the background, working away, getting used to my new coach, and getting better.
Is it good in a way, the fact that you're not rushing the date? Obviously it's that new bonding in period, isn't it? Like, there's no rush for you. Like, you've already been out of the ring pretty much a year, so it's like, what's another couple of months if you get that bond with your coach?
Listen, I've been in boxing, as I said, 26 years, and this is the longest break I've had out of the ring in my life. So I think it's been needed, and obviously the time with the new coach is much needed as well. So, like, the last one, everything was rushed. I ended up only having 6 weeks training with my new coach for the last fight, and loads of shit on the background, which I probably shouldn't have been in the ring. But it is what it is. You make your decisions and you live with the consequences, and you know that's where we're at now. So I'm taking my time, making sure I do everything correct, not rushing, not jumping into anything which I don't need to be jumping into too quick. So it's good.
And Taylor Serrano, finally, obviously, it looks like it's going to be a catch weight at 138. My sort of inkling was that maybe potentially win or lose. It was Katie's last fight. She's come out yesterday and said she's carrying on regardless. Katie wins the rematch. Obviously, I know you're always going to back Katie, but it's going to be a really tough fight. And fair play to the women, because I think Katie's getting $6.5 million obviously for the fight. So it's going to be the highest grossing female fight of all time.
Unbelievable. Listen, I'm so proud of her, so happy for her. I say in every interview I do, she's the closest thing to a saint I've ever met, and a phenomenal fighter. And what she's done for women's boxing, let's be honest, women say they're the GOAT, whatever it is they say, all the time. I mean, Chris, she's always people saying it. But nobody has changed women's boxing like Katie Taylor's changed women's boxing. And no matter if she's not the most talented women's boxer ever, she's the most exciting to watch, definitely. But if she's not the most talented or like pound for pound best ever, she definitely is the greatest woman of all time, because she's changed women's boxing for the better. more than anybody else.
Where does Kelly Harrington come in the mix when you think just amateur-wise? Obviously, Jamie believes that obviously Kelly's now the greatest Irish amateur of all time. Like, where does Kelly come in that mix? I guess it's the two balances. Katie came first, Kelly's came afterwards.
It's hard. It's a hard one. Listen, on achievements, double gold medalist at the Olympic Games is always the kind of highest you could be, isn't it? Although women's boxing is very new, and there's only been 3 or 4 Olympics now, hasn't there, for women's boxing in it since 2012, 2016, 20.
Yeah, so we've 3 gold medals in the four.
There's 4. Exactly. The 60-kilogram division is Ireland's. So there's only been like 4 women's Olympics, but how many world championships has there been, and how many world championships did Katie win? You know what I mean? So it's a hard one to split. I think it's unfair to say who's the greatest of the autumn. On achievements, with the Olympics being the pinnacle, you could say Kelly, but then in terms of women's boxing and the lifespan of it, you could say Katie, because what she won and how much stuff she won. She won numerous world titles. I know Kelly's won 2 or 3 world titles. Katie's won more. But obviously, Katie just set women's boxing alight, didn't she? So, yeah.
I guess in some ways it's great they're both Irish. You know, it doesn't matter. We can have these arguments all day sort of on it, but they're both Irish, and that's all that matters.
That's it. You know, we're proud to have them, and simple as that.
Listen, thanks very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of obviously today, and we'll see you obviously tomorrow evening.
Good on, mate. Cheers. Sorry.